All right, y'all, Xbox fans, we want y'all to know, calm down. We're going to talk about it. Xbox seems to be, the future is uncertain. Well, are they going to get, are games going to PS5? Are they leaving the console business? We're going to kind of talk about that. We're just going to kind of hash these feelings out. This is like an emergency type of podcast, guys. We got my boy, Neo Ness. What's up, man?
What it is. Xbox in the house. I'm even rocking my shirt. I'm like Xbox for life.
Oh, my gosh. Xbox for life. All right, then we got the good doctor, Alex. What's up, man?
Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Yeah, this was definitely some really interesting stuff, and I'm excited to talk about it. So let's, as soon as you're ready, let's get into this bad
Let's
boy.
get into it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
first big news, man. So I jokingly said on the last podcast that I said Xbox is going to leave the console business by 2025. I don't know. I don't know if I spoke that into existence, but way things have been going, they seem like, cutting back on physical games. Now they were saying they're putting like Hi-Fi Rush and some other games on Xbox, on PlayStation and Nintendo. Now it comes out today that Starfield, one of Xbox's biggest exclusives, may jump to PlayStation 5 because of sales. Woo. And that's just a sticking point. Then hours later, Phil Spencer came out and said, hey, hold on. We hear y'all. I hear you. We're gonna talk about this next week. So before we talk about this next week, who want to jump in and talk about this, right? Alex, I know you.
Yeah, let me jump in on this real quick.
wanna-
So here's the deal, right? I think there's a lot
Hold
of
on. Let's say you a big Xbox fan, so I know you want to jump and talk about.
Oh yeah. But go ahead,
Well,
Alex. Go ahead.
no,
You know,
but
Alex
here's the
got
thing,
something to
right?
say.
I think all of us are gamer in this room are gamers first, right? Like that's the number one. We all love video games. We play video games. Video games has been a hobby since we were like little kids, like just coming up in our underoos. And it's like this is the type of stuff that we were like, oh my god, it's the best hobby ever. So, that part being aside, in other words, there's no fanboyism or any of that kind of weirdness going on over here, like console war mumbo jumbo. But just looking at this, it's like, we've been down this path before. There used to be a time where there was only two players in the space, right? We had Nintendo and we had Sega. Then all of a sudden you get TurboGrafx 16 come out and then like Neo Geo come out and they start like, stomping around doing their thing. But at the end of the day, it's like, the big bad booty daddy console manufacturers were Sega and Nintendo. Everybody else was secondary and tertiary for the longest time.
Oh,
Then Microsoft, now listen, then Microsoft decided to come up in here. They're like, nah, we're going to throw the gauntlet down. And they came up with the Xbox. And as they say, the rest has been history. So, Microsoft has been part of the gaming universe for a really long time. And people don't need to forget that, like, almost every gaming PC that's out there is running a Microsoft operating system. So this whole entire move, like where they're going to start offering titles and things like that on different platforms, it's been around for a hot minute. There's nothing wrong with that per se, because look, Ori and the Blind Forest, it's like that whole entire series is available on Switch, and it's other places. You've got Minecraft available in multiple places. Nobody got all butthurt about that stuff, right? But as soon as you start talking about, they didn't even care about Sea of Thieves, and they didn't even care about, what's the other one? Hi-Fi Rush. They were like, whatever, those games can go. But as soon as you start mentioning stuff like Halo, or you start mentioning stuff like Starfield, people like immediately, it's like they're having a heart attack. So, at the end of the day, first of all, we don't have confirmation of hardly anything. We just know that something is happening. What that something is, who knows? I think the rumor mill has gone crazy. I think that they're trying to say way too much. At the end of the day, it's like you have to look at where Microsoft is. Right now as a company, they're the wealthiest company on the planet, $3 trillion market cap. They've got more money than Apple, than Google, than every other company that's out there, right? They're the T-Rex in this thing. So the bottom line is this whole entire deal with gaming and like them expanding out. I have a feeling that they've got a great plan that's going to be, once they shine the light on it, half the stuff that people are saying is just going to be dumb stuff and they're going to throw it away. That is inaccurate. But there is going to be some titles for sure. And I mean, hey, these companies are out to make money, not to make you happy. And they're going to do it in a way that they can, you know what I'm saying, to be able to do what they need to do to make that cash.
Yep. Ness?
I think it wouldn't be advantageous for Microsoft to just turn into a third party vendor for games and just ship them off to everyone else. The way I think about it is we're seeing a shift across the industry, not just for video games, but just in tech in general, right? So the days of any platform or form factor from a hardware perspective, that's being reduced and consolidated into software, right? So if we're talking about it from a cybersecurity standpoint, there's firewalls, which was the traditional way that we protect a consumer or a company's data, information, protect their customers, all that. Now that same exercise has been shifted into cloud-focused, software-based protection. You could say that Microsoft is doing a very similar form factor here with video games. And how are they doing that? Well, we've seen little crumbs here and there. We get a new game. Starfield is a perfect example. We got a physical box. We got no disc. We got a code, right? So really all we got was some plastic, some trinkets, and that was it. We didn't actually get the game. We got a digital code to download the game online and play it online, right? So I say all that to say this. This is just me speculating. I think Microsoft is preparing the gamers of today for a more software-based consumption of video games. Yeah, physical media is going away, unfortunately. The signs are there. I think we're going to have small portions of the industry that are still going to deliver a physical version of certain games as they come up, which is going to be great for collectors like us. But for the average day consumer that consumes movies, music, and everything else media-wise digitally, Microsoft is just taking that first step forward outside of Sony, outside of Nintendo, to do that and deliver that. That's just my take on it.
So let's say like this. So what happens if Xbox does give Indiana Jones, Starfield, Blade to PlayStation? What does that, happen to Xbox? Because like we were saying earlier, we was talking, you buy into the Xbox ecosystem, right? And you buy the Series X or Series S, whatever you buy, you buy Game Pass, you're getting all the downloads, you're an Xbox person. Like mostly I'm a PlayStation person. You're buying all that kind of stuff. And you want to have some kind of sense of like pride in, hey, we have this, you can't play this over there. But what comes with that pride comes craziness sometimes. But what happens to
sometimes?
Yeah. I'm trying to be a little nice right now, starting out. I'm trying to be a little nice. I know this is hard for Xbox fans who watching this and stuff. But what becomes of the Xbox brand? Does it become Sega? Like I said, does it come like it's not gonna be SNK? We know it's not gonna be, but
no.
Does it go the way of Sega and how Sega's doing that? And also to all the stuff they bought. I mean, Xbox, we saw the plan long time ago. They wanted, this is what they eventually wanted. That's why the original VCR Xbox One failed, because people wasn't ready. It's okay, they went back and went actually to the 360 from the Xbox Marketplace has been a vision, slowly been doing that stuff, slowly buying games off of it. It was great. And now they like, hey, we're not giving you, you're going to be an all digital future. But I think what people are talking about, they won't be able to own stuff. We'll talk about that too. You might want to own your games, but what becomes of the Xbox brand? Is it, Team Green is going to be Team green, blue, red? We mix all them colors together. What you gonna
I honestly think what's going to end up happening is you will always have some kind of an Xbox console, right? I think that because at the end of the day, the Xbox is still, it's a PC, right? Yeah. Even the PlayStation 5 is a PC with custom hardware added onto it, right? Like, I mean, these are x86 processors. They're the most PC-like, gaming consoles we've ever had. So I can envision a period of time where you can buy like an Xbox-branded gaming PC. Maybe you spend, $700 or $800, and it gives you the opportunity to be able to pick like what CPU, GPU, and stuff like that you want, but in a more streamlined, simplified way. I think that they'll probably, you remember the dongle thing that they were supposed to have for Xbox? I think we'll probably see a rebirth of that, or you'll have some kind of a, smaller console that'll allow you to do cloud gaming and that type of stuff. I mean, these are all possibilities for sure. The brand itself, it's going to be just, in the marketing, right? Like whenever you see, Gears of War on PlayStation 5, for example, it's going to have Xbox on the splash screen. Even though you know what I'm saying? Like they're going to still have all that kind of stuff there.
Yeah.
PlayStation. But they want people. It's going to say, Microsoft Game Studios, Xbox, that type of thing, whatever. It's like, they are buying all these software companies because Microsoft is what? They want you on the hook. They get you to subscribe to Office. They get you to subscribe to like all these different applications. Well, they want you to subscribe to Game Pass and be in that ecosystem. They don't give a crap where you play it as long as you're engaged with it and you're paying that monthly subscription fee. And quite frankly, it's like, where is the largest player base, right? Like globally. Well, I mean, how many PlayStation 5s have been sold? You're at the point now where it's like, if you don't put these games on there and you've got these $300-400 million development budgets, how are you going to make that money back? Because those subscriptions are not paying for that. They're not making enough money off the subscription, especially because they gave so much of it away. You remember they were doing the $1 for an upgrade, like whatever you've got, you pay $1 and it's a free upgrade. Well, I mean, it's like you're still burning through accounts that have those on their accounts. So, PlayStation players, I feel like in general, spend more money on their hobby. They put, they put more money into their games. They put more money into, the hardware, all that kind of stuff in general. There's probably exceptions. I mean, I know that there's fanatics across the board, but that money is what Microsoft wants a part of.
They're getting that money, like I said, Game Pass. Game Pass has really kind of revolutionized the industry in a way, especially on the video game side. Steam is the same, is done it. But
yeah.
Not like who want to buy a box, a dedicated box, a branded box, put it at home and don't have to worry about this stuff. And that's what it is. He was talking about I guess, well, it's not exclusives. Well, I guess this is about exclusives and stuff. And Xbox wants you on the hook. You're saying like, yeah, that's what you're saying. You say Xbox wants you on the hook. They got you on the hook for Game Pass. But now it's people seeing how Game Pass is. You say PlayStation people pay more for their stuff, right? Okay, just like kind of PC players will pay more for their stuff to play games. I guess Xbox don't want to seem like the cheap way to play or the cheapest and stuff because the Game Pass is giving stuff out. Remember that thing back in about a couple months ago or sometime last year? What was that game that was going to was going to be on PlayStation Premium Plus or something like that? But they're trying to get PlayStation to be like Game Pass, and then the dude who left PlayStation said, "No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to cheapen our product like that."
Oh, Jim Ryan,
yeah.
And in a way, he was kind of right about that. And if you look at it, people are like, well, I just get on Game Pass. I don't have to buy it. Like his days, like my nephew, he has a Series X and Game Pass. Now he's 9. He's not going to really care about physical stuff. He can just download it real quick and play it and be done. I think we're the like kind of the last generation of collectors and holding on to like physical media stuff, whether it be DVDs, laser discs, all that physical media stuff. So, Inez, what do you think about some of this? What are you talking about?
It's kind of hard to think about it, really, because I mean, I've been an Xbox fan for many years, like since the OG Xbox. My very first Xbox game was Halo, right? So that was what introduced me to first-person shooters. And the memories that I have of Xbox, like I have specific memories with PlayStation. I have specific memories with Xbox. And my greatest memories of Xbox were OG and 360, and that was with Halo. That was with Gears. And that was with Halo, it was the LAN parties and having multiple CRTs linked up. We're playing big team battle and we're in this massive living room. Everybody's trying not to cheat off of each other on screens. That that's gone now, of course, just because now we're all playing online. We don't have to travel to our friend's house with a big ass TV and a console and the game. We don't have to do that anymore. We can just stay within the comfort of our living room and we're good to go. But that foundation and memory of Xbox completely disappears if we shift to PlayStation. I just, there were certain games on PlayStation that never came to Xbox because Sony did not want them on Xbox because those were exclusives. Perfectly understand that. Microsoft is willing to potentially, because this is all speculative until next week, of course, but potentially, based off of the rumor mill, you know, we could see Starfield and Hi-Fi Rush and, you know, whatever else shifting over to PlayStation. Those games I'm not very concerned about. Okay. Starfield can go to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Y'all can have it. Halo and Gears, on the other hand, that's to me, that's like if Nintendo said, hey, guess what, guys? We're going to just push Mario out to everybody else.
Yeah.
So our flagship IP game is going to be just anybody can play it anywhere. Now, at the end of the day, from a gaming standpoint, from a unified gaming standpoint, that's awesome. Right? From a dedicated, I'm a consumer that purchased your product and only your product because I stand behind your brand, that kind of changes things to certain consumers. This isn't everybody. I'm just saying. You just
certain people.
I don't.
Yeah, but don't you think though that that's kind of a good thing? Like you kind of get rid of the console war nonsense.
Yeah,
and you've got better access.
Yes, but so to that point though, right? So I'm speaking devil's advocate for a reason. Everyone that's in the media foaming at the mouth has a problem with that. They're not shifting and adapting to the times and changes, right? Yeah. We see all the games at Walmart, Best Buy, Target dwindling down, getting clearanced out. We're seeing that more and more on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Another year and a half, we'll see the last of stock, and they'll be done. And then everything else is digital, or we're ordering it online off of Amazon if they have it, or we're at GameStop. That's what it is. But
let's say that future is coming. What that future is, but how quickly will that future come? Right. So we got Nintendo and we got PlayStation 5. Will PlayStation 6 be all digital? Because it seems like the two big ones, like PlayStation and Xbox, are becoming, wants to be digital. They got digital systems, right? Now, we will really know if Nintendo, when it releases this year, if it does release, it more than likely will. If they have a digitally only system, if they release two systems, then we know this is the last generation for like physical media. So, is Xbox trying to do that preemptive strike? What they always been trying to do way back from the Xbox 360 or Xbox One days of all digital future. And if they are, that's going to bring a lot of concerns, because what I will see online is, I want to own it. I want to own it. I want to own it. Like, if it can come, if it can be a way where the digital future, you can actually own your digital games, and they can't just take them away from you or take stuff away from you, I think that would be okay. But I think the fear is what I've seen online and a lot of stuff. People are fearful. There we go. Sorry, fearful of all their stuff that they hard earned money. Like, you pay $70. I just paid $100, $109 for the Tekken bundle, right? What if they took that away from me? I'll be so upset and mad, right? But I know it's a people game out there, so I really do think a lot of the outrage, one, the first outrage is they're scared that they're going to lose all the stuff that they pay for, and that's a valid argument. But two, brand loyalty. A lot of people are loyal to Xbox. I'm not super loyal. I like it, but Xbox is not my go-to. A lot of people go to is Xbox. Some people go to is PlayStation. Some people go to is Nintendo. Now, they got a lot of crazies out there who are like, you know, they take this way. I'm not doing something. First of all, Stop canceling your Game Pass subscriptions. It's not going to matter. You're only hurting yourself. Okay, stop with the stupid stuff. And you flipping it off and showing it on social media, trying to get some kind of like reaction.
Yeah, that's dumb.
That's just dumb. That is childish. Stop being stupid. All right. You I like the people. I'm not watching WrestleMania because of Raw. Nah, you gonna watch it. So shut up. Anyway.
Well, it's like the people that are trading in their consoles. I'm like, bro, it's like that's awesome. Like right now, it's like if you stood outside of a GameStop, you'd be able to pick up an Xbox Series X for probably $250 cash. Like, dude, just no problem.
Hey, if you want to sell your Xbox, hit me up.
Yep. Because guess what? Turn right around in a year and that'll double in price just because they're gone. And everybody like, oh, I gotta go get my Xbox now because Microsoft said that they got this and I can play this. I'm like, the whole licensing thing, like the days of we own our games ended in the cartridge. They ended at the cartridge. They ended at PS2, PS3. Once we started making online-based games, or PS4, okay. Online-based games, that was the shift. Because if we're going to talk about I own a game, right? Mm-hmm. So I own this tangible item that I went to the store to buy. That is my property. I own it, right? Well, they have all kind of legal jargon right before you even get into the game about copyright, all that. So legally, technically, you don't own the game. You own that item, yes. But when we break that down, the mass majority of the biggest percentage of games that are played today have an online patch, and they have constant updates, and they have constant, season passes, etc. So is that a game that you paid for and own, or is that a game that you're leasing, that you're purchasing technically a subscription for? Because guess what? It's a season-based game. Oh, the new skins are out. Oh, the new guns, the new weapons, whatever, new stages. Well, let me drop $40.
Just like they did with NBA 2K. And did you see that this morning where they term of service and stuff? Like, no,
yes,
you can't take us to court for all this kind of stuff. Like,
no,
what's going on,
People aren't reading the print. They're not reading. They just want to get to the game. They're not reading.
They just want to play the game and move on. And I don't think people realize that they haven't owned their games for probably, multiple generations. Like you said, since the cartridges, nobody's owned a single game. Yes, some games are on the disc, and yes, you could play them. Okay, fair enough. But at the end of the day, it's like, they've gotten more sophisticated with all that stuff. And, all the companies are doing it. People think, well, Nintendo is such and such, or Sony is not going to do that to you. They are all going to do it to you. I mean, it's an inevitability that all of them will do that to you because they want to be able to protect their IP and make sure they've got the biggest access to funds that they possibly can do. And one of the other things too that I wanted to talk about, like real quick, this whole entire mobile computing thing, like all the handheld PCs that are coming out, they're getting better and better and better and faster and stronger. And I mean, you're getting PC level performance from like maybe even a generation ago in the palm of your hand now. And it's kind of like Steam Deck 2 and like ROG Ally 2 and like all this stuff. When these things start hitting, then it's kind of like, well, what's the point of having a console when you can take this little handheld PC, connect it to your TV, Bluetooth a controller to it, and you're set. Yep. So, I mean, it's like if Microsoft, and I think Steve brought this up, if Microsoft does the preemptive strike, and then all of a sudden it's like because these handheld PCs are really like we're about to hit the sweet spot in terms of performance, battery, screen, ergonomics, all that stuff. It's coming. And for all we know, maybe Microsoft has something like that up its sleeve. And it's like, hey, guess what? You can take this and take it wherever you want, and you game on your PC, and you can do Xbox Game Pass, and this, that, and the other. So I think that people have this idea of, well, this is where we are in the console universe and whatever else, and it's like they're missing a lot of the other stuff that's going on because they're so narrowly focused. And when you look at electronic entertainment, I mean, just look at like the Apple Vision Pro, right? Like all of a sudden it's like now they threw the gauntlet down for VR. and AR. And so, like, the things that you can do in that and the things that will come from that, because you've got a multi-trillion-dollar company putting money and R&D into it, it's going to push everything so far forward so fast. Like, I promise you, 3 generations from now of the Apple Vision Pro, you'll be in a different universe of what you can do and see and how less bulky it is and all that kind of stuff. Same thing with these handheld PCs. All of the major PC manufacturing companies, Asus, Steam, et cetera, they're all doubling down on this stuff. And so that's going to change the gaming landscape, because you're not going to be able to have a disk drive for that or a cartridge slot maybe for that. You're going to have, these digital libraries of games that you can play.
Yeah, and then PlayStation talking about they want to do one also. Like I said, Nintendo led the way.
Yep.
It's over. I ain't gonna say it's well. Yeah, I'll say this: if it's over, if the next Nintendo Switch doesn't have a cartridge slot, if it's just digital only, which I don't think they would do that, but if they do, oh my gosh,
I'm gonna turn the industry upside down.
They would, because Nintendo is always leading. Every time they do some kind of tech or something, they're always leading. They led with the controller, basically. It started with the controller, and every generation of the new Nintendo, it did something that everybody else copied. Look at Kinect, look at PlayStation Move. That didn't work out too well. Now look at the Switch. Everybody's right. You say all these PC handhelds and stuff. Just Xbox is in a weird state, right? Xbox is really good friends with Nintendo. I don't say it's not too much with PlayStation. I ain't say they're friends, but all these companies know each other and cool, but still, you see more Microsoft stuff on Nintendo, so they could bring like a mini PC handheld. They will kill it because that's their stuff, But like I said, what would be Xbox identity if they do that? Would it be just the largest third-party publisher, or what would become Xbox? I'm trying to figure out what if you're watching this and down in the comments, let me know. What's the future Xbox? What is Xbox new identity if this stuff is happening? And I understand everybody's out there, just don't do nothing silly and crazy, but just let me know too. Like, let us know, like, how do you really feel about this? Because this is like it's industry changing right before our eyes, and it's only the second month of 2024. It's already crazy, man. So what is Xbox identity? Let's talk about that. What will be the new identity of Xbox?
I think it's going to be a software-based video game. The Xbox division will be a software-based video game division moving forward. That's just my opinion. So I think it's just going to be a form factor where you can play your Xbox games anywhere you want, right? If that's on PC, great. If that's on a TV, awesome. All you need is a standard Xbox controller, and there you go. And you can play that. Or it could just be shifting those certain games that are classified as Xbox exclusives to other platforms like PlayStation and Nintendo. So
what they could be doing, though? They could be using this as a way to Trojan horse Game Pass onto like PlayStation and other places, because they're like, we're happy to give you all of them, but you're going to have to allow us to have our game store on your devices.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, but that wouldn't be a bad idea for Xbox, but
it wouldn't be a bad idea for Sony either, because it's like all that content and they get a percentage of it anyway, right? Like, wouldn't they get a cut? Like, they could negotiate the terms, but if they partnered up with Sony and said, hey, we'll allow certain games to come on in exchange for a lower percentage of our sales going to you directly, then, that way they can kind of keep their consumers happy and at the same time allow for greater access across the board. Again, the subscription services are still, like, nobody's making money in subscription. Like, none of them are. Ultimately, right? So but Microsoft can weather the storm. Because they're worth trillions.
When you just said that made me think about WWE. All right, so WWE opened up the WWE Network, right? So long ago. They wasn't really making money. They were making like $9.99 a month. Now their new strategy is they're selling their content, right? all of that stuff, and they're getting money off their licensing. So now WWE has moved. This is their strategy, and it's brilliant. They moved Monday Night Raw to Netflix starting next year. USA Network picked up SmackDown for like so many years. Then the CW is getting NXT. There's 3 different platforms. That's first Netflix. You still got traditional TV, and then you got an app or 2 apps. You know, CW, and sometimes CW shows in like traditional households somewhere else. Could Xbox be doing that same thing? Could they trying to get out of
hardware business,
out of hardware business, and making money on licensing? And the Xbox name is just like, this is Xbox, a game. All their studios, but everything is going to be Xbox. Bethesda, all that kind of stuff. Could that be another thing?
My question to that is Xbox is a symbol of Microsoft as its video game division, being the console itself, because it's this big ass box.
Yeah.
Right. So if that were to happen, right? So let's say Xbox branches out to something astronomical, and it's PC, it's every form factor. It technically isn't Xbox anymore. It's just Microsoft.
So
right?
but the Xbox name still has value.
Yeah, it still has value,
Just
but
like
it could just be like Microsoft. I mean, they could just change the entire brand into like Microsoft Game Studios. It could be that. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But
No. Yeah. When you said Microsoft Game Studios, that made me have horrible thoughts about old Microsoft Game Studios back in the day. All that stuff was so horrible. Oh my gosh, it was horrible.
Go look at Disney, right? We have Disney as a big umbrella company. Then they have like Star Wars, and they have like Pixar, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I see it more like that.
Xbox? What did Disney?
No, but I mean, like, no, but I mean, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I have a feeling that Microsoft will maintain the Xbox brand forever because it's associated with gaming. And I think it'll be more like the way Disney has it, is that it's like, this is the umbrella company Microsoft, and these are all the different kingdoms that feed us. And so they're going to have that Xbox brand there. But I agree. I think it's going to be more of a service-based thing, because Microsoft is a service-based company. That's how they make their money. The majority of their cash comes from what? Their Azure cloud. That's where they make their money from. That's the number one earner for the company. And so they are into cloud computing in a way that Sony can never be, because they just don't have the money and the resources to do it. Very few companies can do it. Amazon can, Google can, Apple can if they wanted to, but they're not. Apple's not in the same, you know, the server space the same way that the other companies are. And so, you know, Microsoft, that's what they're after. You remember back, they told us, they said, what's our competition? We don't see Sony as competition. We see Google as competition. We see Amazon as competition. They told us, you know, whenever, I guess, what was it, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever they made that comment.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, we've known the roadmap. It's just that the console warrior fanboys didn't want to admit it. So, nobody wanted to accept it.
Yep.
And it's just kind of like, bro, they've been telegraphing this stuff for like ever. When ABK was like the big thing, they're like, oh man, they're going to put all this exclusive content. I'm like, dude, they're not going to go from like having this market share of PlayStation and PC and Nintendo and Xbox to just Xbox. You're not going to make money that way. Oh, and mobile. Don't forget mobile, because King is in there too, right? Which is actually a huge earner in terms of the mobile gaming market. So
let me say this right there. So you're saying, so what I'm hearing you saying, like Xbox Game Studios is basically just, or Xbox just basically ended the console war, really. Because if you
Phil kind of hinted towards that. I mean, in like the last 2 years, he's been saying that I want to work with the big three, the big two out of the big three. I want to work. Huh?
They said they want to buy Nintendo.
They tried to buy Nintendo a couple of times.
Nintendo ain't selling nobody.
No, they don't need to, because they're financially, like, they're cash flush. Like, Nintendo has so much liquid capital in the bank that nobody can buy them. I mean, they can literally just fend off anybody. Be like, no, we're going to do our own thing, because they have built an amazing product, an amazing fan base. And even though technologically it's inferior to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, people still line up for days to buy that stuff.
So where were they? So like I said, I guess this is the future of Xbox. I mean, X in the console war, which I really think they're not gonna make any box, but they probably will have a box. You know, like, hey, we got it here. If you can buy it. What if they're like a tagline Xbox everywhere? You know, like you said, on TV, in your car, on your phone, everywhere you go, Xbox is going to be everywhere. Which I think that's what they're really trying to get to. Like put Xbox everywhere. You know, they didn't do too good in Japan, so if they can put Xbox in your refrigerator, in your car, what you got in your car, on your phone, you know, everywhere. All you gotta do is bring a controller, and then, or what if they had like these controller based IDs or something like this? Like, hey, you take your phone, like boot, scan, log in the Xbox account, and start playing.
Good. I think it's not. I think the terminology for saying like Xbox is the end of Xbox as we know it. I don't think that's it. I think it's the end of the way we've been accustomed to the gaming industry as we know it. Correct. I think that's it. I agree. Because with this is going to cause a massive domino effect. Basically, it could. Phil Spencer could get on next week and say like, "Hey, whoever said that was full of crap. We're not doing any of that. We're still doing consoles, and we've got some new games coming." And he could just be using all this hype to pub something within some big update within games or console or whatever. It could be that. We don't know. And it could be the other side of that coin, to where it's like everything that we've been talking about right now, it could be just that. But that would lead to a massive domino effect throughout the entire gaming industry, because now the whole premise behind PlayStation has been to stay king, stay top of the hill in terms of console wars. Nintendo stays in their own lane, but they're going to have to correct and shift too with this type of strategy as well. Because you said it yourself, Steve. What happens if they do decide to put out a Switch 2 that's all digital? That completely changes the game now, because then Switch 1 becomes the last physical media-based console on Nintendo. So, and how it is today, Switch is cool online. It's all right, but it could be a little work. So, where are we going? I don't think the Switch is going to jump over and say all of a sudden no, because it's going to be able to have backwards compatibility. So I think it's going to have a cartridge slot.
It could have backwards compatibility with on the digital games you bought.
Well, but I mean, like cartridge slot doesn't cost anything to add. I don't think.
No,
to the PCB.
No, it doesn't.
No,
I mean honestly, because this is an iterative upgrade, right? So they're basically taking, maybe some adjustments obviously to the PCB, but or the motherboard effectively, but the processor is definitely going to be different. So there's going to be some new stuff in there. I don't think adding that cartridge slot is going to be like something that's cost prohibitive, or that Nintendo would be like, oh, we're not going to add that. It'd be so weird not being able to put your cartridges into the Switch 2.
I doubt those cartridges cost them very much from a Switch perspective.
Agreed.
Now, depending on which cartridge they use, because they use sometimes what they use a 4, 8, and 16, and rarely they use 32. Because if they use a bigger cartridge slots, they're gonna cost more. So I think them cartridges do cost. They don't cost a lot, but
but you have to remember the internal memory.
If your game is bigger, then you have to go download part of the game on there and then download the rest of the game online, which.
If you're comparing it to PlayStation or Xbox, PlayStation and Xbox are probably, it's costing them more with CD-based games and uploading those large ass files on there than it is for Nintendo to pump out a little, micro USB whatever to populate in the game. It's just, I would probably say that their margins for the creation of, mass producing those are pretty good. And the fact of the matter is, they've sold Switch hand over fist over the last 10 years, 7 years, 6 years, whatever. Insane. How many people out there have multiple Switches?
A lot of people. Man.
Oh my god, dude!
Dang!
I probably have 20 plus.
I got rid of all my extra Switches. I've got my original one. That's it. I had 3 or 4 extras just chilling. I'm like, man, I need to get rid of these. Like, what am I doing? So
it's interesting, y'all. It's really interesting because this Xbox stuff, it seemed like it was going to happen, but just to see the big exclusives, I think seeing like Starfield and these leakers who leaking stuff, sometimes I said they've never been wrong, but usually kind of are right. And then when you have Forbes talking about this, it kind of means something. You gotta take it with a grain of salt. You kind of really gotta look at this. And like I said, I do feel for Xbox hardcore people, and and this is how it is gonna be now, And this is the future. If this happens, Xbox know what they did. They're taking a huge risk, right? They're taking a huge risk of eliminating their hardcore fan base, but they'll come back. But just to do this to change, it's exciting, but it's like, do you really need to do that? Or
I don't think it's going to be as hard and fast as everybody thinks it is, and I don't think that they're going to be taking tentpole franchises and throwing them on the PlayStation next week. I think what you're going to see is Starfield was in development for the PS5 at the same time as it was in development for the Xbox. So that's a game that just makes sense. Go ahead and put it on there. I think that certain studios like Bethesda, all the stuff from Activision Blizzard, those games need to be everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do, because they are multi-platform companies that got purchased by Microsoft. Now, you want to keep Gears of War to yourself, maybe. You want to keep Forza to yourself, maybe. You want to keep Halo to yourself, maybe. I think the Halo the conversation is premature. I think some people decided to just fan the flames of the hysteria of, oh my God, the sky is falling and it's all Chicken Little running around, whatever. I don't think it's going to be like this. All of a sudden they pull the rug out from underneath you and be like, guess what, bitches, you guys basically need to buy a PS5 and or a PC to be able to access our stuff, because we're no longer going to be supporting our hardware. If they came out and said we're only, the backlash would be gigantic, right? I've got probably 1,500 digital Xbox games. If you came and told me that I would never have access to those again, I personally would file a lawsuit, because I'd be like, that's bullshit. It's like, I paid the money and I have not violated the terms of service. So if they're going to make a move like that, they're either going to compensate people or allow you to have the quote-unquote Xbox version of that game on PC or some other digital storefront, or they'll match it with there's been conversations with Steam for umpteen million years, right? Yeah. What happens if all of a sudden they come and announce it's like we're putting all of our Xbox Game Pass titles on Steam, and we're going to have some kind of a partnership with them, that if you subscribe to us, you also get a discount on Steam or this, that, and the other. They've already done it with Ubisoft and EA Games and stuff like that, where you can subscribe to Game Pass and then have those other services underneath, right? So maybe there's some other things like that going on.
So I think that like you just said something about you'll sue them, right? Well, like we was talking about earlier, they putting these in a term of service that you can't sue them. So I think a lot of companies are getting ready because people have that mindset. They can take that stuff from you.
Yeah, well, this is only in reference to previously purchased titles. I mean, obviously, there may be a new TOS that comes out that says that, you're not actually purchasing this, that, and the other. And they already have language like that, but not being able to have access to a digital library for no reason. It's like, I mean, I should be able to at least get copies of those games. And, worst case scenario, it's like, you guys think piracy went away? It did not. And if you legally own a game, right, you can have a digital copy for yourself as a backup. That's established case law, not a problem, whatever. So, if I've got a copy of, Gears of War on disc, or a digital copy of it that I paid for, I should be able to have a copy that I can, back up onto external hard drive or whatever. And so consumer protection laws do exist, and they're not going to just be able to like skirt all that like completely, because there'll be a class action lawsuit. I think every Xbox gamer on the planet would probably file suit and join the lawsuit and being able to get their content back. And so from a PR standpoint, I don't think Microsoft is so stupid and or so bold as to just completely shovel under the diehard gamers. I think that they will probably announce a strategy and then slow roll it. I don't think you're going to even feel it until the next generation, in any kind of serious way. Like there'll be some things, there'll be signs, as they say, but it won't be like this catastrophic thing. Like throughout the course of the Xbox Series X and S, you'll be able to do everything that you've been doing, but then they're going to be like, hey, we are going to make a hardware device, but it's going to be smaller in scale, and it's going to be, maybe some cloud-based, components to it. You'll still be able to access your library. I think if they address the library issue, a lot of people are going to calm down, and then the rest of it, we'll just see how it plays out.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, all that. I mean, I'm kind of just at this thing like we've kind of ironed out thoughts, and I guess now we wait on Phil. We wait on Phil to let us know what it is. I will say this though. I will say, this is a very difficult time in the tech industry for a lot of folks. So my heart goes out to the individuals, all individuals who have not had the liberty to keep their jobs. Those folks at Microsoft that were laid off. I know that was part of an acquisition, but still those are folks that were part of a gaming community and helping our community get quality games. And my heart goes out to those individuals. So, I'm sure they'll land on their feet somewhere eventually if they haven't already. But these companies,
Can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah.
So there's one of the other running rumors that's going around right now is that, Sarah Bond is about to be promoted to, well, she is the head of Xbox. And then her counterpart at Activision Blizzard just got her, promotion to become president, right? And there's this concept of what's called the glass cliff. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but a lot of these big companies, whenever something really crappy is about to happen, they'll promote people, usually minorities, to take the fall for the corporation at large. And then they could be like, well, it was, poor mismanagement because of this person. And so they get pushed over the glass cliff, basically. And, a lot of people were like, is that the reason why these people were put into those positions so they can take the fall for Microsoft? And I wanted to see what you guys' opinion was about that.
I would not put it past them. When it comes to billions of dollars and it comes to people of color, we are sacrificable. They will push us over the edge quicker than you can say Merry Christmas. I don't know. I don't know, but
but both of them are super qualified. Like you read their resumes and these are like the real deal people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they've been successful at what they do and they genuinely deserve to be promoted. So that's the part where I'm conflicted, because I'm like, these are really capable people. Like, why? I'm not saying that that's my claim. I'm saying I've read that rhetoric online, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
It could be, but just what you think, Ness?
I'm taking a more positive note on that. I have heard of that before. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. And who knows? We don't know if the internet heard a rumor, a leaked rumor that hasn't been technically, confirmed, right?
Yeah. Right.
All Phil says, like, hey, we hear y'all. That could have been anything. We hear y'all. We hear y'all talking out here about this leak. Hey, guess what? Next week we got something coming for you. Okay. Just stay tuned. Since y'all are talking about Xbox, this is a great time for us to go ahead and tell you about what's coming up down in a brand new car. That's what's about to happen.
No, you're right. It's like people took the doom and gloom approach on this thing, like right off the bat. I think it's because arguably, no argument. I think Xbox One generation absolutely destroyed everybody's kind of confidence in Microsoft,
Yeah.
right? And only the diehards were the ones that were like, I don't care, I'm going to deal with this. And for 10 years, these poor bastards were in the trenches fighting off, the bionic ponies and like all this other stuff. I mean, it was just bloody warfare. They were getting their teeth kicked in. And then all of a sudden, they announced the Xbox Series X, and it's going to be the most powerful hardware on the planet, roar! And it's like, people were like, yeah, that's right, bitches! It's like, all that kind of stuff. And then when it came out, it's like the performance was on par, if not slightly worse than PS5, and people were like, hold up.
I'm gonna put my Xbox on for the last little bit of this.
I would have put my Xbox hat on, but it's in storage.
No, but anyway, so like the point is, it's like, there's a lot of really heartbroken people, and a lot of people, like, I mean, I have continued to support Xbox. I continue to buy games for the console. I have multiples of all the different things. I'm a Gears guy. Like, that's my number one of all franchises in all of gaming. It's going to be my number one. And so,
how would you feel if this ends? Well, how would you feel Gears is on the PlayStation? Would you care? I mean, you're a mature gamer, but seriously, you're Xbox more focused. How would that make you feel?
I mean, honestly, yeah, of course, it'd take the wind out of my sails a little bit, but at the same time, I'd be sitting there and be like, I'm about to show these PS motherfuckers what's up. It's like,
that's how I feel about Halo.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, and the funny thing is, don't get me wrong, right? Like, I love my PlayStation 5 and I play it, and it's like, my Nintendo Switch, all that stuff, PC gaming. I honestly think that this is going to be a bigger push for PC gamers. I think that it's going to open the door, and we're about to see the renaissance of PC gaming. So when I was alluding to those handheld PCs, that's the new it. And Microsoft's like, well, damn, it's like, why are we even wasting our time with building this hardware when we can emphasize and focus on cloud-based computing, network gameplay, and putting titles out so that people can use them on their Steam Deck 2s and their ROG Ally 2s and this, that, and the other. Having native apps for all that. Having a native app for all the mobile phones. I mean, like, just look at what Apple's doing in the mobile space for gaming. The fact that you can play Resident Evil on your phone and actually have it look halfway decent. It's not perfect. The processor is still underpowered and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I think that you're going to... Because, like, right now, if you try to play Gears of War, there's probably a handful of people playing. It's not like where you got 20,000 people, concurrent players on a bad day, and like 350,000 players concurrent on the weekend. You don't have numbers like that for Gears. Gears as a franchise, and we can have a whole entire thing about this, has kind of fallen off, right? Like episodes, the last two installments were not
very good,
embraced by the diehard Gears community, myself included.
Not very good. Everybody's on Pal World.
Yeah, I've been playing the crap out of it. It's amazing.
But
runaway success.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, going back to the PC thing, I have read so many comments where folks who have Xboxes, they played it on Xbox, and they're like, I can't play this game on Xbox. The patches aren't coming fast enough. Steam's light years ahead of us, and this, and this, which I think they're just being a little overzealous.
It's hyperbolic, yeah.
Yeah, very hyperbolic. But there are more people shifting to PC, or building a PC specifically for this game, meaning that if it's one game that can make the change, let that sink in. One game can make the change. We wouldn't even be here talking about this right now if Starfield. And we talked about this a lot last year about Microsoft Xbox coming out with some solid ass games to put them back in the running in terms of like, yo, this is a console that I need to purchase. This is a console that I need to invest in because they've got some quality games. Now, Pal World just happened to fall in their lap. PlayStation didn't get a chance to get at it yet, but it's coming. At least that's what we hear. Now, if Microsoft was smart, they'd hold the reins to that joker and hold on to it tight. And then when it came down to if we are shifting games over to PlayStation, guess what, Sony? Pay us a couple extra ducats, and we'll throw this Pal World at you.
I think that honestly, it's like one of those deals where people are... everybody wants to hate on Microsoft, and everybody wants to treat Microsoft like they're some kind of like dumb company that doesn't really know what's going on, and they're being outmaneuvered by people. And I'm like, I think that Microsoft is playing 4D chess. I think everybody else is still playing checkers.
Mhm.
And people want to go back to where, well, Steve Jobs said that Microsoft has no creativity or originality, and the quality of their games is a reflection of that. And I'm like, I think you guys are really missing a lot of points here, because it's like, they're like, well, but objectively, the quality of this game is such and such. And I'm kind of like, that may be true currently. And I mean, it's like, then of course, if you try to say, well, in the future, it's like, they're going to be like, well, you're always giving, Microsoft a pass. It's like, look at the entire Xbox One generation. People kept saying, wait until the next generation, and nothing happened. And it's like, look at the Xbox Series X and S. It's like, they're just not exactly what they were supposed to be, and the quality of the titles, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't become a $3 trillion company without having some ideas that actually work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if you don't like them and you think that they're basically an Excel-based company and it's like that's all they do. But the reality is, Satya Nadella came out and said, hey, we're going to double down on this. And sure to his word, they went and bought ABK, and like they bought, Bethesda, and they bought all this other stuff. And people are like, well, that's unoriginal. They're just buying talent and they're blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to give time for all that stuff to incubate and become integrated.
It's going to take at least another year and a half, at least, at the bare ass minimum. It's going to take that long.
Xbox kind of like lost their way because they've been so busy fighting all these other battles when they fought all these battles over here, and they was like, we doing this for you, but then they kind of forgot you in a way, it seems like it. And people said, no, just give us this. It's like they wouldn't. Halo was, and when Halo came out, Halo Infinite was just like, ugh, all right, it wasn't what it was.
Well, I mean, the world was different. The world was different.
Yeah, but it's everything is good now. I haven't went back to it, but I hear it's good now. But
I've gone back and played.
Yeah. Well, if I can say it like this, the future Xbox is not looking like it used to. And I could say that could be a good thing if we just like wait it out, not freak out, not go and doing stupid stuff, and just say, you know what? Like, what's what this kid say? Let them cook and see what happens. Let Xbox cook right now. Let them cook. Let them cook. Because you know what? This could be a setback for a greater comeback.
Who says it's a setback? We don't know yet.
We don't know, but I'm saying
it could be a come up.
Yeah, but let's look at history. Xbox the last 10 years, or is it been 10 years? I'd say last 5. I just say that to be safe. Hasn't really been the Xbox of old, of the 7th generation. Everybody's still hanging on, including me, to that great 360 generation. It was so good. It was doing everything right. They had all the dominoes in a row. They were just like boom. And then as soon as Xbox turned 1, it just went to total
you know what? You have to think about, though, Peter Moore is really the reason why the Xbox 360 did so well, right? Yeah. And you notice that he left. And he left. He's at Nexon, I believe. But anyway, he's a brilliant guy. He went to was it Manchester United in the UK? He like managed their that soccer team, and he did all kinds of stuff. But ever since he kind of went out of the picture, Microsoft, and I agree, I kind of lost its way, right? Because Don Matrick. I mean, when they came out with the Xbox One, it's like they had completely read the room wrong. And they were pushing TV and digital content on TV and this, that, and the other, which is interesting because it's like, at the time, you didn't really have Netflix the way you have it now. You didn't really have HBO Max. You didn't really have... No. So this is a concept that they've been wrestling with for almost 15 years now, right? Maybe 15 years. So I think they're finally getting where they wanted to be. And the industry and the technology is finally kind of there. So this could potentially be a really, it could be a game changer. And I don't think that we're going to stop having Xbox consoles anytime soon. I think that we'll have at least one more generation of a hardware-based Xbox platform. And I'm not talking about refreshes. I'm talking about like true, like next gen. And I think that they are because apparently there was a rumor that was debunked, but there was a rumor that Microsoft was talking to Intel and talking to Nvidia, and they're going to like, you know, go back to the original Xbox, like kind of like use somebody else instead of AMD. Then they debunked that, and recently they came out and said, hey, we're basically at work on our next console with AMD, and they just signed the paperwork. So Sony is ahead of them in terms of next generation. So they will be out the gates before Microsoft is, 100%. And there is going to be a PlayStation Pro that's supposed to come out this year. So, you know, the power narratives are going to be obliterated here shortly anyway, because once the PS5 Pro comes out, it's game over. It'll be more than what the Xbox Series X can compete with, and the PlayStation 6 will drop before the Xbox Series X2 or whatever they call it. So I don't know how this is all going to pan out ultimately, but I have a feeling that Microsoft is going to try to pivot out of that generation-based stuff. Because if you had, I mean, you remember like even Google had that, right? With Stadia. It's like Stadia actually was a pretty good service. NVIDIA's streaming platform is actually a really good service.
It was just ahead of its time.
Exactly, but is Microsoft going to hit that sweet spot of being able to deliver performance and accessibility at the right time to where consoles don't even matter anymore?
They have the infrastructure for it.
Yeah, they got that, because now they've got all their Azure. The capacity on Azure is so massive. It's insane. Like it's just insane. And you know, Sony even is using a lot of the Azure stuff as their backbone for their network infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Right? Sony and Microsoft are partnered up on the doing the operating system and the logistics, like all the back computing stuff for the new car. Right? Like this is all stuff where it's like, well, if, you know, if Sony and Microsoft aren't friendly, they're not going to be doing these kinds of things. But I mean, obviously, it's kind of like, look, gaming is important, but there's all this other stuff that Sony and Microsoft are on good terms about, that I have a feeling, and this is ultimately going to satisfy a lot of the regulatory stuff that was problematic during the ABK merger, because they may be doing all this stuff to be able to say, hey, we're putting all this stuff out there because they're going to go for another round of acquisitions.
Well, one thing I want to know is, say, like, guys, Xbox fans, I feel you. I will understand if it was like Sony, I would be a little upset. I ain't gonna say I'll upset too. I would be really upset, but not upset to do stupid stuff, you know. Just let this stuff play out. This video is gonna be sitting here on YouTube for years to come. So we'll see if we're right or we're wrong or what's gonna happen. But I do know it is exciting. I'm glad y'all guys tuned in for this emergency type of podcast. Let us know your thoughts and feelings down below. And always remember to do it the right way. We'll see y'all next time.